Now boarding all passengers to the bassist.net.
But I was at Victor's talk yesterday morning, and like literally I just, because I got my badge upstairs at the Hilton, and I saw him and was like, oh dude, I might as well go in and see what he's got to say. And then obviously
yeah, he
saw you in
dragged
there
me
too.
up there. And,
yeah, it was cool, man.
Yeah, that's where we come from educationally.
Yeah, right?
A little bit different, not traditional in some senses, but way more logical in other
I kind of walked in about like 10 minutes late. What was like the topic of that? Or was it just Victor doing
it was about education. It was like, why do we teach music the way we typically teach it, and what other some other ways to look at it, some other ways of approaching it, not so much as, first you learn to play and then you play with people.
Yeah.
It's like we approach it the way we learn to speak English. I mean, we learn to actually speak before we learn theory or learn
grammar,
to analyze it.
Yeah.
Grammar. And maybe we had some bad grammar, and we fixed that later on. But you never think about learning that way when you're immersed in it.
Sure.
I want to play music, not learn music. But through playing it, we learn it.
And so everyone in the audience was a music educator.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, who knows? They were probably just Victor Wooten fans, half of them. And if you've been to any of the things we do or our camps or whatever, I mean, it's our same spiel. But the cool thing is now with a vehicle or we both work at Berkeley, and we're able to see this stuff work in real time at the highest level.
Yeah, how is this applying? I mean, I went to my first camp 15 years ago. I did the math, 2004. I was 17 years old when I went to my first Bass in Nature camp.
Wow.
But I mean, like, so obviously, like, you guys have done it in smaller groups for 2 decades, give or take.
Yeah.
But now you're doing it at an established university.
Yes,
I mean, like,
yes.
you're taking that and
Victor has what he calls a real job now. It's like he's a university professor with salary and benefits.
Nice. Something no musician's ever known.
Yeah, and paid vacation.
Ballin', yeah.
It's amazing, and he loves it because he gets to see the same student. Like at a camp, we may have 5 days with you, 6 days, or whatever. Yeah. At a clinic, we only have 2 hours with you. But here, we get to watch students progress and nurture them for years at a time. So for him, it's kind of new to be able to do. Like I had to pace him at first. I go, man, you don't have to say all of this in one day like a clinic. You get from point A to Z in a clinic.
Right, yeah.
I go, man, take your time.
Well, because you got there first, right?
Yeah, I've been there 7 years now.
Dang.
And shortly after that, I started bringing him in as a visiting artist, and that evolved into finally, about 3.5 years ago, he got he and John Patitucci are our residence scholars in performance,
which is a position. Correct me if I'm wrong. That you guys created, right? Or
pretty much, yeah. It was like, hey, would you love to have Victor Wooten here a week every month? Which is, that's a lot of time when you factor in most full-time faculty are there for 12 days a month. So we get Victor for 5, and he works just like John. He's there 5 days a month.
Wow. So
sometimes it all coincides. We're all there at the same time, and we really have fun. But yeah, it's a steady thing. We create these Wooten woodsheds where these principles are taught, and we do master classes or workshops on the art of the jam, the art and the science of the jam, of how to approach it compositionally, and all kinds of fun stuff.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of 18-year-old kids. Like to me, to go back in time and think like, oh yeah, there's a school I can go to or Steve Bailey and Victor Wooten are there all the time. They're my teachers, and I could just be with them for like 3 or 4 years or whatever it is. Like,
me out
it blows my mind, dude.
It blows my mind. I got to say, and I've got an amazing faculty. Lincoln Goins on the faculty, Mike Pope, Bruce Gertz, Whit Brown, Oscar Staniero. I mean, and 15 more. So that's kind of freaky in itself to have that many bass instructors all hanging out and working
how many
together.
Bass students?
Close to 300.
Wow.
So when you figure a place like University of Miami may have 25, North Texas may have 25 or 30, we're a little bit bigger. Dang. And but the idea, my whole kind of mission is to make it the best experience for the students, the most educational and the most realistic, and to try to help prepare them for what they're facing out here in the real world. At the same time, I want them to leave going, oh my God, you won't believe, you know, today that I got to spend 2 hours with Victor Wooten and we worked on my stuff, you know, my hands and my musicality and oh man, you're not going to believe it, but you know, John Clayton was here today, or Joe Dart from Wolfpack, and, or Eddie Gomez from way back, or whoever, Ron Carter, you know, Anthony Jackson. We've had so many guests over the years, and I think it's great. I like students to be exposed to a lot of different influences and perspectives, and never really, you know, make up your mind after you've heard it all. Not. I tell students, if you're students that come in there, well, you know, I don't like this and I do like that. And I go, look, if you're 19 years old and you've already made up your mind about that stuff, good luck in the real world. Number one, you're going to change your mind. But if you get on a tour bus with those kind of attitudes, like, yeah, this sucks.
They'll be leaving you at some point.
Yeah, nobody wants to hang out with you. You know, as we get older, we realize maybe there are other perspectives. So we try to expose them to a whole bunch of different stuff and try to get them to not make up their mind yet. Just soak it in and then get to the opinion part of it. That
reminds me, at the last bass camp that I went to, you said something to me that made a big impact on my life. Was I was a classical double bassist majoring in music, and I didn't really like it. Like, I was just doing it because, well, I'm already 3 years in, so I might as well finish. And you were telling me, correct me if I'm wrong, because this was like 15 years ago, but you had like a similar story. I think you were at a university in Texas, was it North Texas, studying classical, and just kind of had a realization that, like, I don't think this is what I want to do either. Man, right?
No, well, yes, it's the same story at North Texas. When I went there was no jazz bass teacher.
I mean, and that's why I did classical, because jazz wasn't an option. Yeah.
So of course I'm signing up for bass lessons, and man, for me, classical study is so important for a bass player. It's such a mechanical instrument, and it's with a bow is the way you learn to play in tune. So I get that part, but for the mechanics and the fundamentals, but I wanted to play jazz.
I realized that the Philharmonic player was never going to be me.
No, and I probably told you this, is that I was studying with this great instructor, Ed Rainbow, that everybody wanted to, and we're working on the Kusevitsky Concerto, and I'm in the upper register just hacking away at it, you know, and it's a hard piece, and I'm
very difficult,
and I just started laughing in the middle of this because it just sounded like a beehive on acid in a way, you know, and I was laughing, and I looked at Dr. Rainbow and I said, you think anybody's ever going to pay a quarter to hear me play this? And he said, probably not. He goes, I don't think anybody's ever going to pay a quarter much to hear anybody play this, and unless, you know, you're an Edgar Meyer or somebody like that. Sure. So I said, how about I mean, this is fun and it's technically challenging, but let's work on stuff that will make me a better jazz musician. And fortunately, he was open-minded enough. First, I didn't realize how insulting it is to an instructor to try to lead the lesson, which I'm not a big fan of. I think we have instructors to guide us, but our outcomes were so diametrically opposed.
Sure.
But he was cool. He said, sure, just show up and we'll just work on those fundamentals, work on your pitch, work on your shifting, work on your arco. We'll work on repertoire, but the goal won't be to perform that at a recital. The goal will be to make you a better bass player. And that's, for me, that's what classical studies did. Enough so that when I got to Berkeley, I saw as many great faculty as we had, we were missing that. So I went on, I created a position to hire a strictly classical instructor.
There was no classical curriculum at Berkeley?
No.
Oh,
I mean,
didn't
some
know
of the
that.
faculty were incorporating it, but people come there to study jazz, and they were missing those fundamental things.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Patitucci and I wrote up a requisition for a new faculty member, which was approved because we rationalized it. When you think about it, Stanley Clark, Eddie Gomez, John Patitucci, Eddie, I could go on with our heroes of the double bass in jazz, Ron Carter. They all had
Rooted
a classical,
in jazz. I mean, classical.
rooted
Yeah,
in classical.
yeah.
They had a classical guru who helped them develop that kind of technique, which made them virtuoso jazz players. So I think it's integral, and we hired a person named Susan Hagen who plays with the Boston Symphony. In fact, we did on my new album I'm just finishing up. We did it's an album of duets.
Nice.
And we did the Chanson Triste, Kusevitsky,
yeah,
with her playing the arco solo part, and I adapted the piano part for 6-string fretless bass.
Of course you did.
So yeah,
obviously.
Yeah. But it's really cool.
As you do, yeah.
It's really cool. And
I believe it, man.
Yeah.
When's that coming out?
Hopefully mid-March. It's all done. And it, like I said, it's all duets. It's just me with one other person. So it ranges from a duet with Willie Nelson to a duet with Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull to a duet with Dennis Chambers. Of course, Victor's on there. Mike Stern, some vocalists on there. Becca Stevens, new singer.
Cool.
So it's just bass and one other thing. Howard Levy, the harmonica player, some incredible
Your
stuff.
solo is also one of my favorite records.
Thank
man.
you.
That was great.
Well, this one you'll love this one, man. When there's something about when you play this open A chord on a fretless, and it sounds beautiful. I mean, it's just ringing, but all of a sudden you hear Willie Nelson's voice come in. I get excited. It's like,
that's
wow,
awesome,
man. But yeah, it's a pretty. And Victor and I was on sabbatical last semester, so I had time to. I had time to do the things that I kept putting off over the last few years. But we did a new Bass Extremes album too.
Really?
With Greg Bissonette. We got the old team back together.
Yes. Nice.
We gave ourselves 5 days instead of 3 days to make a whole album.
Okay, good.
And we did. We wrote the whole album and recorded it. Now we gotta put the finishing touches on it. But
I've worked with a lot of his students because, or at least when I went to Cal State Northridge, he was the drum instructor there.
Oh, you went to Northridge?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you knew Matt Harris.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyone who has studied with Bissonette is just on another level, man. Yeah.
So we spent a week together at my studio down in South Carolina, living like Animal House in a recording studio.
Excellent.
We all stay. It's the house and the studio is all together. So it was like Bass Extremes. I thought, man, we should have called you and like had cameras everywhere and created a.
Call me anytime. I'll be there.
Yeah. We and create like an online 24/7 video feed of us making this album.
Well, a lot of guys are doing that. Yannick Wisdala, I want to say, on one of his reeds, it might not have been the last one.
Esperanza did it.
Yeah. They just live streamed the whole process, all the tracking.
Yeah. I considered doing that, and then logistically, I'm a nerd, and I would get more into the technology, and then forget the fact that we're there making an album. But
Right. Did you come to the studio with ideas for songs, or was it like totally on the spot?
We had some ideas, but just to show how technology has kind of changed it up. When we did the first Bass Extremes project, Victor and I just got together and wrote the album in one day.
And you had only met
a couple times
recently, right? Yeah. It was a new friendship.
So we had jammed once together at a NAMM show after we endorsed the same thing, and we were like, wow, man, we can make music and we don't have to try. It just happened. So we wrote this record in a day and we recorded it. This is the first one. So this time, with technology different the way it is, he and I are both pretty good with Pro Tools, and we've got
emailing stuff back and forth.
No. We did not do that at all. We did it like tag teaming, like tag team wrestling. You know, if the opponent is the song. So
I like where this is going.
Yeah. So I would sit there And let's say I was the first one in the ring. So I'd put some stuff down and goof around and whatever. And then he would come in with that and start editing and start adding his thing.
Nice.
So then he would do his thing. Then I would come back and mess up his stuff and change some of my stuff. But
intentionally, right?
But we did that for 2 or 3 days. It was amazing.
That's so cool.
The results, because it's the same thing we would do in real time.
Sure.
Except we had to kind of commit to each other's idea. In a sense that it's almost like improv comedy, where somebody goes with an idea and you got to go. Yeah, you got to go with it until they change the subject. Then they got to go with you.
Yeah.
So, man, I would say I'd work on it from 11 to 12:30 at night. And then Vic would jump on. I went to bed, and he would work on it till like 3.
That's so cool.
And then I'd get up the next morning at 10 and listen to what he did. And I went, oh yeah, okay. Well now.
And then how did Greg fit in the mix?
Greg came in 3 days later after we had written those songs. There's about 6 of them we did like that. And he just came in and we kind of arranged it and edited as we went. And then he put drum tracks on them. But then the last day, we decided to let Greg write the songs. So we had him, we just gave him a theme and had him play. Like I would write out a form, an AABA form with these kicks in it. I already had this melody in my mind, but I didn't want to taint it.
And he's not playing to a scratch or anything?
No, he's playing to a click track.
Just click, okay.
Just so we could edit well. And he's natural with the click track. So he had these kicks and knew the tempo. And I said, man, do whatever you want. Co-compose this song with us, and then we'll write around what you do. So he was amazing, man. He had some Led Zeppelin beats and all this kind of stuff that he did, and Steve Gadd beats and burning up tempo stuff with. So I just write out rhythms, and he would just interpret that and make this killer drum track with solos and a head and a shout chorus and all this stuff.
Nice.
So now it's Vic and my turn to tag team on that.
Sure.
Once we're all done with our tagging, we'll mix it and
so it's still in that process right now of putting those things together.
Yeah, finishing up some of Greg's tracks. That's nice. We focused on that for about a week and a half, and then I had to get back and finish my album, which is all in the can and mixed. And
nice.
my biggest problem is I've got too much music. I've got 19 duets.
It's a nice problem to have.
Man, I mean, we did some Bach with Ron Carter.
Oh, wow, nice.
We did, Anthony Jackson, we did a duet.
One more minute. Well, do that. So is there any release date for the Basic
We're
Stream
looking
slated?
at March 15th, hopefully. I'm going to go on tour with Vic in April and hopefully have it all ready to go then.
Very cool.
To promote.
That's awesome, dude.
Vic did some stuff on it, man, on the duo album.
I believe
I've heard him do it live. He's never done it on his own albums. That's all I'll say. He used a technique that I've heard him do live, and I'm always going, why don't you put that on an album? So I got it on my album.
Okay.
And it's just a duet. But I'll say this. He's my favorite drummer on that album, along with Dennis Chambers, who we did a duet on there as well. But Victor's a close second as a drummer on that album.
Okay, cool. I look forward to hearing it.
He's not playing drums.
Obviously.
But he's the drummer.
Sure.
So it's pretty cool.
I like it, man. Well, if people want to find you, I mean, obviously you're at Berkeley, but I mean, like, do you do Facebook, Instagram, any of those things?
Yeah, I had a bad experience with Facebook.
We all do. And I don't know why we're all still doing it.
I don't need many more friends. I've got a few that I like.
Yeah.
And but if you go to Berkeley Bass Department Facebook group, I have a strong presence there, along with my department and the students, and we have the distinction of having the largest collegiate Facebook group in the world.
Excellent.
Yeah. So Victor's there all the time. Lee Sklar's hanging out there. Pat Atucci. And
nice.
We just have a good hang.
Awesome. Yeah. Sweet. Well, dude, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it,
it's so great to see you after all these years, and now we get to hang out some, and you remind me of my stories with Ed Rainbow.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, watch your step, everybody.
Thank you for choosing thebassist.net. And don't forget to watch your step.